Does it feel like the world around you is crumbling? Does it feel like that everything you've worked for is falling apart? Are you starting to question your life path? Question your purpose? Question your existence? This is it. We get to a certain stage in our lives and we realize we've been doing it wrong. We start to question everything. We start to realize we've been living an entire lie our whole lives. And we start to realize that what we've been told is false, that we're here for more, that we're here for purpose, that we're here to be more than just slaves to the matrix system. My name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach. I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse, and I also offer twin flame and spiritual guidance. This is it. Midlife crisis or waking up to the fucking truth. This is the thing. We used to call them midlife crises. But like when you think about it, a person who has a midlife crisis is somebody who gets to a certain age of their life and literally starts to question their whole existence, starts to realise, hey, this isn't making me fucking happy. I did the thing right. I followed what my parents wanted. I got married. I had children. I built a fucking house. I did the corporate ladder thing. And why am I unhappy? Because you did it fucking wrong. You didn't follow your soul's guidance. This is it. We've been living by the system. The false slave mentality, fear-based greed system. The fucking matrix. Which is bullshit. And you get to a certain age and your whole life starts to crumble. Everything goes wrong. Your job, goes to shit. Your relationship goes to shit. And this is the thing. We were calling it a midlife crisis, but in actual fact, it's happening so much earlier now. So we can call it a quarter life crisis. And I don't like the word crisis. Because, how is it a crisis when you're finally waking up to the truth of why you're on this fucking planet? And that's it. This is it. And people kind of are triggered by the word spiritual awakening. So I'm just going to call it awakening. Because we're all spiritual beings living a human experience. Whether you believe that or not, it's fucking true. So I'm just going to call it awakening to the truth of why you're here. I've had this analogy before. Do you really think that beyond the fucking planets there's a fucking wall? That there's nothing out there? That we fucking, we're the only human life form, or the only living life form in the whole expansive universe? There is so much that we don't know. There's so much that we've been stopped from knowing. The dark side has tried to take control of humanity for such a long fucking time. So has led us away from our soul's path, has led us away from spirituality, and has led us away from the fucking truth. This is it. The truth. The truth is in you, not anywhere else, within you. And this is why everything tends to go to shit. This is the thing. I call these tower moments, right? When we're in the conditioning of the matrix, we cannot hear our intuition. We cannot hear guidance from our soul, the universe, or anything outside ourselves, because we're listening to all the false fucking rules. We're following all the sheep off the fucking cliff. Like fucking zombies. Zombie sheep. That's all we are. And then, when we wonder why everything is shit, and we wonder why everything goes wrong. Because when you're not on your soul's fucking path, when you're out of alignment with who you truly are, then everything around you just goes wrong all the fucking time. So you're waking up every day going, oh my god, this is so depressing, I don't have the same shit different day. And it's the same shit different day. And everything seems to go wrong. You get stuck behind a tractor, you fucking bang your fucking knee off the fucking bed. I did that the other day, actually. But anyway, things like that. And it just, everything spirals, you know what I mean? And thankfully that didn't happen this time. But anyway, whatever. And, your whole existence just feels shitty. And the reason things keep happening that are bad is the universe is trying to kind of nudge you in the right direction. But we don't hear the nudges when we're conditioned. We just don't fucking hear it. And therefore, everything is going wrong. We wonder why. The only reason things go wrong is because you're on the wrong fucking path. It's redirection. But if you continue to not listen to the guidance, you will still go down the matrix path, and then you will actually miss out on everything until the shit completely hits the fan. And this is the big tower moment where the universe gets a grenade and goes, You won't listen? Let's make you fucking listen. And then they shake your whole life up and say, hey, this isn't for you. Move, move, move. And this happened for me in my late 20s. Do you know what I mean? I was in a nasty, verbally abusive, narcissistic relationship from the age of 20 to, it was almost 8 years. And every day, the universe was telling me, you're not happy, this is toxic. You're not happy, this is toxic. And what did I do? I followed suit with my ex at the time, and I drank. I drank and 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 I drank, not to listen to the voice in my head, my true voice. And every day was horrible. Every day was toxic. Every day I lost the will to live. And then the universe, after not listening and just drowning my brain with fucking alcohol, they threw a grenade into my life. And I suffered the biggest trauma I've ever suffered. And it was a wake-up call. And it was only because of the therapy I went to, because of that trauma, that I realised I was in a toxic relationship. And I started to listen and I started to cut down on drink. But I needed a massive, nearly 8 years, and I needed a massive wake-up call to redirect my life. So if you've noticed that you've gone down the path, the path for me back then was, the happy ever after. So I was in a long-term relationship. That was my ideal of, this is what life is supposed to be like. Not realising that it's okay to be single for a while and discover yourself. And this is it. You go down that path. I didn't go to college myself, but a lot of people, they go to school, go to college, build a house beside their fucking mother, get married, have children, and that's the happy ever after. And guess what's happening? In their 40s, they start to resent their whole existence because they did it fucking wrong. They did it the way everyone else fucking did it. They did it the way their parents wanted them to do it. And guess what? It wasn't the way your soul is supposed to do it. And this is why we wake the fuck up. And you have to listen. Oh my God. I've seen this with people. Something goes wrong. There's a message in that. Hello. You know what I mean? I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. I was like that before when I was conditioned. Obviously if something went wrong, I was like, oh, life is just shit. That's it. But no, when something goes wrong, it's actually a big, massive sign saying, hey, there's something not right in your life here. This is a sign for redirection. I'm shouting at you. You know what I mean? That's the universe coming at you loud and clear. Get the fuck off this path or it's going to be fucked up. And you know what? We don't listen, and then we go down the same route again and again and again and again and again and again. This is why we have repeated cycles. That's why we repeat the same toxic relationships. That's why we go into these jobs that are no longer in line with our souls. And we just you're just not doing it right. And oh my God. Whoa. I look back and I'm like, how did I not see it before? How did I keep repeating things again and again and again and again? Well, I was drinking, so I probably didn't have much of a brain space. But anyway, I was like, how do you do it again and again and again and again and again? And that's the thing. We've been brainwashed for generations to believe you have to do it that way. You have to work like a fucking dog. You have to be a slave to the system. You have to do it this way or you're doing it fucking wrong. If you don't get married before you're 30, you're doing it fucking wrong. If you don't have the house built before you're 30, you're doing it fucking wrong. Fuck off. Who made the fucking rules? You know what I mean? And in fairness, life expectancy, that's another thing we were lied about. You're going to die. You're going to die. We've got longer life expectancy if we fucking stop believing that negative brainwashing. So, they used to call 40 a midlife crisis. 40 is not midlife. 40 is quarter life. We're all going to live till about 200, I'm telling you, if we do it right. Anyway, we have to start to listen. When something goes wrong, what is this trying to tell you? It's telling you this isn't for you. You know what I mean? If something and I mean the big obstacles, you know the difference. If you're on the right path and you hit an obstacle, it's a stepping stone, it's a lesson, it's a detour, it's a guidance, it's a little nudge. But when you're more aware, you can hear that, you understand what it is. But when you're off your path and you're not listening to that guidance, everything goes wrong. And the same fucking day, probably, all of it goes to shit because the hand grenade is thrown in. And don't let it get that far. Start to listen. Start to fucking listen. And that's another thing. Alcohol is created to lower human consciousness and disconnect us from our souls. So, you know, if you're drinking every weekend, your brain is never going to be right anyway, and you're never going to have full capacity. So that's another thing that keeps us conditioned and depressed. Do you know what I mean? Telling somebody that it's wrong to be single and they're serial dating, that's going to fuck your head up as well. You know, and this serial sex thing, you know, this random casual sex is not good for your soul. It detaches you as well. So there's another thing that people do. You know what I mean? There's this consumption of bad TV or the news, false media. This is another thing that keeps us off this path. All this stuff has been there to subliminally brainwash us into staying on the Matrix path. Don't do it wrong or you're going to fucking die. No. You're going to fucking die early and miserable if you continue on the wrong path. You have to start listening to what's true. What does your heart want? We're not here to live an unfulfilling, mundane bullshit life Monday to Friday. Let's go to the pub and live near my mother for the rest of my life. Bullshit. Sorry, but that's the way it is in Ireland. It's like, oh, married farmer down the road and build a house. Jesus Christ, oh my God, live a little. Like, anyway, sorry, it's something I'm passionate about. Anyway, you know what I mean? Why can't we stay single a little bit longer? Discover who we truly are. You know what I mean? You know, people get married in their 20s, and then by the time they're 30 or 40, or late 30s or 40s, they're fucking divorced because they did it wrong. They didn't live their lives. They didn't live fulfillment. They married the wrong person and tried to change them because they didn't even know who they fucking were. You know what I mean? You don't really know who you are until you do the right path, to do the authentic path, do your soul's path. You know what I mean? We're here for more. We all have a special gift. We all have a £1 million idea. And guess what that £1 million idea is? That £1 million idea is you. And that's a fact. That really is a fact. I was trying to figure out for years what my £1 million idea was. How am I going to strive in this world? And I realized I'm my £1 million idea. I'm the service. I'm the person who can give my talents. You know what I mean? And that's what I discovered. We all have a gift. We're all here to be of service. But how can we be of service if we're living that life, that non-existing, really, it is just existing, but you're not living, you know? And that's why if you're starting to question, and that's the thing, when you start to awaken, it's just like everything comes into question. Everything you've ever known, you realize is a fucking lie. All of it, like all of it. And it's just like, it can be very stretchy. I like to use the term stretchy. You're kind of being pulled between two worlds. You're literally kind of going, whoa now. You know, we know our parents lied to us our whole lives, but the whole world has lied to us our whole lives and for lifetimes. Do you know what I mean? And like, as a child, when you realize the fact that your parents have lied to you about the tooth fairy, about Santa Claus, about all this kind of stuff, and you're like, you're fucking liars. Deceived me. You told me my whole life I shouldn't lie, and then you fucking lied to me. And then you realize when you start awakening that everything you've ever known is a lie. So that's like big kind of going, what the fuck, like, you know? And then you're like, you question everything. You question every single thing, and it's so hard to break out of that as well because everything keeps pulling you back. Like, you're like, what if I go out on my own and I fail? Oh, I have to say doing it this way. This is secure. I'll do the 9 to 5. Just no. You're here to expand. But this is the thing as well. If you really think there's all there is to life is the life you've been living, and there's nothing beyond. Seriously, I'm sorry, but seriously, in this day and age, like, we have the world of knowledge at our fingertips. You can discover anything you want if you just Google it. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, learn, discover. I am after turning into a right nerd since I started awakening, and I'm so lucky to have, like, imagine if it was years ago and I was going through an awakening and I just like had no information. I would be locked up. I'd be in a pad to cell. I would, because I wouldn't have known that I wasn't crazy. I would have questioned everything. And that's the thing. We actually do think we're crazy because we're the only one of our surroundings doing this, and we're like, no, I'm just going insane. And that's why, oh my God, that's why people got locked up years ago, is because they were following their soul's path, and it's like, you're doing it wrong, lock her up, she's insane. Do you know, she doesn't want to get married, burn her at the stake. You know, that kind of way. That's what witches were, the women that didn't want to get married, and it's like, oh, just burn her because she won't be a slave to her husband. Okay. Do you know what I mean? So, like, anytime we did anything out of order, we were burned at the stake, we were persecuted. So, you know, telling people that you're awakening to the truth in your soul, they're going to be like, oh, let's get you a doctor. You know what I mean? And it's just like, if a few years ago, before the internet, we were all like, I feel sorry for the people who had gone through this without the knowledge at our fingertips, without the mass awakening happening, and the fact that we're not all crazy, and we have actually reassurance that we're not crazy. But if I didn't have that information, I would literally have gone, oh my God, I'm going fucking crazy. Do you know what I mean? And like, because in fairness, the people around you, even in this day and age, do think you're fucking crazy, because they're not ready to break out of that system. So this is why following your truth and following, you know, the guidance online, find the right communities online that can relate to what you're going through, because I guarantee this is happening to a lot of people right now. There's been a mass awakening going on this planet since 2020, like a mass awakening, the biggest awakening since, you know, the history of all time. You know, we're all getting there. We're all waking up to that truth. So it's not, and like, you know, and that's it. We question it. It's a midlife crisis. No, it's not. It's fucking not. You know what I mean? You're actually starting to live your life the way you're supposed to fucking live it. That's not a fucking crisis. That's awesome. And like, don't get me wrong. When we do go through awakening, we are awakening up to everything. So we have to heal an awful lot, purge an awful lot of our past lives and trauma, and that's a hard part, but it's so beautiful. You're living in this heavy system where you're told, bottle up your emotions, don't speak to anyone, don't ever feel or have any, you know, feelings. And it's just like, that's depression. That's depression. That's why we go for medication. That's why we go for a drink, is because we're listening to that lie. Whereas when you awaken, you actually waken up to your emotional intelligence as well. You face your demons. You heal those parts of yourself. So you don't need substances anymore. I don't need drink. I don't need cigarettes. I don't need anything anymore, because I'm happy. And that's the thing. When you're in the matrix, you go for drink, drugs, promiscuity, whatever it is, as a way of escaping the life that you fucking hate. That's out of alignment with your soul. But when you go into soul alignment, you don't need any of that shit, because you're fucking happy all the time. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. We have our purging days and we have to do that healing. But literally, why would you need any substance? Because you don't want to escape this reality, because the reality that you're in now is the reality you're supposed to be in. Do you know what I mean? So why is it crazy to awaken up to the truth in your soul and not need substances, not need promiscuity, not need to be in a fucking relationship, not need to do it the way everyone else is doing it? And all we need to do is be authentic. Isn't that beautiful? I'm the healthiest and happiest and youngest I've ever felt. And why? Because I've woken up to the truth. I had what might have looked like a crisis. Well, it's not really a crisis when you're on the wrong fucking path and you're told get off that path. It's a loud reason or a loud wake-up call. But when I look back, even though I had to suffer the worst trauma to get out of that relationship, thank fuck I'm out of that relationship. And, you know, anyway, you know what I mean? It's not really a crisis when you're on the wrong trajectory anyway. It's actually a massive favor. So start to listen to the truth. This is awakening to the truth of your existence, the reason you're on this planet, your purpose, your path. You know, you have to realize you're not there, to be a slave to the system anymore. They lied to you for generations. It's time to wake up to the truth, because the truth actually does set you fucking free. And the truth is out there, but it's more in here. We're remembering why we're on this planet. So why don't you take this opportunity, if the things around you are crumbling, that means it's time. The foundation was never solid because it was the wrong foundation. It was the wrong building. Now you're getting to create a solid foundation with abundance, prosperity, love, your purpose, fulfillment. And that's amazing. You get to rebuild the way it was always supposed to be. You get to become your highest vibrational self and jump into your highest timeline. Now, isn't that amazing? So stop questioning, are you crazy? Because you're not. They're fucking crazy. No, I'm joking. I love the word crazy. We're all a little bit la. Anyway, do you know what I mean? Like, you're not crazy. You're not going insane. You're literally just shedding layers and layers of generational curses and conditioning. That's what you're doing. You're the one that's here to break that cycle. Change the future of this planet for humanity and for future generations. That's why you're here. So please don't think that you're crazy, because you're not. This is not a midlife crisis. This is not a quarter life crisis. This is you waking up to the truth that was already there. And that's something magical. So thank you so much for listening today, and I really hope this resonates. If it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can reach as many people as possible. And if you'd like help on your journey, please book me for a discovery call today, and I would love nothing more than to help you on your path.